So today we are going to react to some sewing themed stories from the subreddit Am I the A-hole? I have been enjoying a lot of content on YouTube where people are reacting to this specific subreddit, and I have been enjoying them so much, so I want to make my own sewing themed version. Hi, my name is Matilda and welcome back to Miss Matti. I asked my husband to pick a couple of stories for me, so I'm completely blind reacting to them all, and I have no idea what we're in for, but he tells me they're really good. Before we dive into story number 1, I highly recommend you to go and grab a drink. I have a cup of tea here. Go and grab your knitting project, sewing project, mending, whatever else you're working on, and then let's dive in. Am I the a-hole for yelling at my mom over a sewing machine argument? For context, my mom gave me, 29 female, a small sewing machine when I was probably 14 or 15. It was a great machine and worked well for several years. The last couple of years it started having problems with jamming, not stitching correctly, etc. I kept trying to use it occasionally, but it often ended up with a needle jamming, the thread becoming a tangled mess inside the machine, etc. The last time I used it, a few weeks ago, it jammed up really badly and the needle ended up snapping in two. We've all been there, haven't we? It's never a fun moment. That felt like the last straw on me to get it to work, and I threw it out. Well, my mom found out that I got rid of it and is very upset. She insists that I should have given it to her, that I just didn't know how to use it, and that she could have fixed it, and that it was an heirloom that I could have taught my kids to sew with. For context, it was a green Hello Kitty sewing machine that she originally purchased new, likely at Walmart, not any kind of antique. And like I said, I've had it since I was about 14. I began getting frustrated because she kept picking at the topic. She tends to be controlling with her kids, especially things, gifts that she's given us, and wants to have a say in what we end up doing with those gifts. At one point, she stated that she wished she hadn't even given me the machine, which hurt a little because I got it for Christmas when I was young. Got a lot of use out of it, and she helped teach me how to sew on it. I didn't respond much while she was saying these things. Then, still annoyed, she started to say that this is why she won't give me the musical instruments that she keeps in her house. Not anything fancy, just used instruments that she accumulated over the years. And that if my kids need to use one, that's fine, but that I personally can't have them because I probably just give them away. And that's about the point in a rant that I snapped, loudly saying, yelling, "I don't care," and a few rambling restatements thereof. It wasn't the most intense yelling out there, but I'm usually pretty mild-mannered, so it definitely stood out, and was certainly not the most mature reaction I've ever had. And while my reaction mostly ended the discussion, things felt more awkward afterwards, as you might imagine. I was just tired of what felt like a tirade against me for a reasonable and mostly inconsequential decision. My mom grew up very poor, and she does become more attached to things than I generally do. That might be part of why she likes to independently label things as heirlooms, so that she knows she is passing something down to her grandkids, etc. So I can understand her motivations, so I don't agree with her controlling a gift that was given as a Christmas present 13 plus years ago. Am I the a-hole for throwing out the machine, or for my frustrated reaction? You're not the a-hole. Oh my god, there's a lot to unpack here. When you give a gift, you have no say in what they do with the gift afterwards. Of course, sometimes if someone throws out the gift that you've given to them, it could sting a little bit, but this was like a Hello Kitty sewing machine that you gave to your daughter a long time ago. And if it no longer works, and if she got a lot of use out of it, I don't see the problem. I have no idea about the quality of this Hello Kitty sewing machine, but that I suspect it wasn't the best one out there. Some machines are not built to last, sadly. And she cannot have these strings attached on a gift that she gave. I can have a lot of empathy for that this mom comes from a poor background, that she likes to hold on to things, and maybe when she hears about her kids getting rid of stuff, that triggers something within her. But she doesn't have a say on what her adult kids chooses to do with their things. So I was just checking this comments on this story, and someone wrote here, not the a-hole. Green, you know me, Hello Kitty machine, question mark. I have one of those. If I recall it, it was maybe $60 or so originally. It looks like you can get one for 30 to 120 US dollars on Mercury, eBay. If you want to buy a replacement and give it to her for Christmas or something, it could be a cute let's make up gift. Oh, yeah, could be. So I would say, not the a-hole. Go and get yourself a new sewing machine. Am I the a-hole for not giving my sister her wedding dress because she didn't invite my underage son? It's an interesting start. I, 40 male, have a sister, 30 female, who is getting married in a week. The groom proposed to her a year ago at a family dinner that left everyone speechless, but very happy for them as their longtime companions. During this dinner, my sister asked my son, 17 male, to make her wedding dress. My son has always loved design and fashion. He took technical courses in these areas and sewing, and even his friends keep asking for his clothes because they're so beautiful. I love that. Oh, I love a young teenage boy making clothes. We need more of them. He agreed, but said that he needed time and that he would need her opinion constantly. At first, my sister was very annoying. My son drew about 50 dress designs in a month, and she only liked one, which he continued with. He sewed it with great quality fabric, which I paid for as I wanted to get involved in a certain way. For 5 months, he made several adjustments to suit her wishes, as she always complained about something. After a while, he arrived at the final model, and it was just amazing. My mother cried seeing my sister in the dress, and I confess that I almost got emotional too. I really wonder how the dress looked like. Problem was that last week my son came to talk to me about the wedding invitation that had not arrived for him, but for other family members. I thought maybe he didn't need one, but it still felt weird. I messaged my sister raising this issue, and she replied that she didn't want any underage people at her wedding because there would be alcohol. I asked if she was going to make an exception for my son, but she cut me off and said no. There are no children in our family. My son is the only minor, so I didn't see any sense in this rule for family members. And to make matters worse, my son was very sad and cried because he spent months on this dress and couldn't go to the wedding. I was very upset and told my sister that she should look for another dress as soon as possible, as she would no longer wear the one my son made. Good on you, Dad. She called and yelled at me, saying I was being unreasonable and that I couldn't do this. My mother called me, saying I should deliver the dress and follow the rules, but I didn't and hung up on her. Because of this, the family is divided. Many agree with me and condemn my sister's action, saying she could only make an exception, but another part says I'm unreasonable and I'm spoiling her big day. I don't think I'm being wrong, but just rational and paying her back in kind. So, am I the a-hole? Oh, there's an update. But first, I'm gonna react to the story. I'm actually so glad that this dad is standing up for his son. I think all of us who sews, knit, or do any type of crafting have got some unreasonable requests from people who don't want to pay us, or they want to pay us very little, and then they're not very grateful for our expertise, our help, and the time we put into it. Because this woman doesn't seem to be the most gracious bride, and I don't even know if she's a customer because they haven't even said if she's paying for this dress. I suspect she might not. We'll have to check in the update if he says anything about that. She is taking advantage of her nephew, and he has put so much effort into this. I bet he was so excited to see this dress on his aunt and see his own creation come to life, and she didn't even extend him an invitation. Like, I don't see the issue here. I think it's rude to not invite him after everything he's done for her. And just because they are serving alcohol at the wedding doesn't mean he will drink. I've been underage at weddings and I didn't drink. And if she's worried about that, I think she should just ask his dad to keep an eye on him. I know it is a really tough call to make, but I think it's a fair, tough call to make. And this teaches his son that he shouldn't be taken advantage of. And it's also, hopefully, not sure about it though, maybe teaches his sister to not take advantage of others. So I've been looking through the comments and it seems like most people agree with me that he is not the a-hole. So your sister can't have children at her wedding, but use your son as child labor to make a wedding dress. She's the a-hole. Fully agreed. Not the a-hole. If she's willing to make an adult-sized request of a 17-year-old, she should be willing to accept him as an adult. Agreed. There is also no reason that a minor cannot attend a wedding with an open bar, as every venue I looked at for my wedding and every open barred wedding I've attended has a bartender that checked IDs. Yeah, that's very fair. So let's read the update. It's quite a long one. First, I would like to thank all the comments and suggestions. I really didn't expect my post to resonate so much. I talked to my son about the suggestions you guys gave me, and he agreed to sell the dress at market price. He calculated the price of everything. Good. And the value was quite high. We sent a proposal to my sister and she hated it. No surprise there. She said she couldn't afford it because it was too expensive and it should be a gift because she's family. Then treat your nephew as family. I responded by saying that it was too easy to say she was family to get a free dress, but not enough to include my son. She cried on the call and begged me not to ruin her day. Sorry girl, you ruined it yourself. But I didn't call because that to me was bullshit. At no point did she offer to just let my son go or apologize for it. And for anyone who said maybe she's homophobic, okay, this is something I haven't read in the comments yet, but there were also like 4.8 thousand comments. I mainly read through the top comments. But I think who could be influencing her is her fiancé, who is a Christian and never have been close to my son. However, I don't care if he's doing it or not. If she wants to exclude my son from this event, then she will also be cutting ties with me. And for those who are asking for a photo of the dress, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but my son didn't agree and unfortunately I won't post it because of that. If anything else happens, I'll let you know. Until then, thank you all. Oh, I am actually so proud of this dad. The son sounds so talented and I hope that this experience has taught him to value his work. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister-in-law I won't sew clothes for her because I don't know how to sew for her body type? I started sewing in college and have a wardrobe full of me-made clothes. I'm really proud of it. There is a big, huge point that is going to make me come across as wrong. I have the ideal body for sewing. In terms that other sewists might get, I am apparently the person whose body matches the sloper used for drafting patterns in the mainstream pattern companies. I can sew a size 8 for tops and bottoms. This means that aside from very slightly adjusting the hem length or straps of a garment, do not have to make any adjustments from the pattern. No lengthen, shorten, scooping arm side, FBA, SBA, etc. I never learned how to make adjustments. I don't need to. I literally only sew clothing for myself. Nothing has ever not fit me perfectly. You are one lucky girl and you know it. I really love my sister-in-law. She's super friendly and sweet. She welcomed me into the family with open arms and she's always been supportive. But about 3 months ago, she asked me to sew her something that she would pay for. I kind of put off telling her no. My sister-in-law is fairly chubby. She has a beautiful body that she's proud of. But I know without even measuring her that because of her weight distribution, she has a fairly large chest and a bigger belly, but smaller hips and not much booty. She slumps forward and has a very arched lower back. I don't have the skills to sew for her. I tried to learn a little bit, but was overwhelmed because of all the math. Oh yeah, pattern cutting is a lot of math. for sure. 2 weeks ago, she finally sat me down to go through my patterns with her. I had to be honest and I told her word for word, I can't sew for you because I don't know how to sew for your body type. She got very red and started asking me what I meant. What exactly was her body type? Did I think I was better than her or something? And it turned into a big argument. She accused me of fat shaming her and mocking her with talk about body types and stuff, and that idea of flattering clothes is based on trying to make fat women look smaller, and I'm pushing beauty standards on her. Oh wow. I ended up crying and kicking her out of the house, and she took it to the court of public opinion, Facebook, where her friends bashed me. Mother-in-law got involved and told me that she was ashamed of my judgmental behavior and that she's expected better of me, and told me that I should probably just not come to a family Christmas because sister-in-law is depressed now. My husband is on my side, but he keeps on imploring me to smooth things over. I don't get how I'm even supposed to do that. Am I the a-hole? No. You are a hobbyist. You sew for yourself. You are not a trained professional. You are not a brand that pretends that they can't make clothes for her size. You're an individual and you have the right to say no. And from the sound of it, you are very respectful in the way you describe her body. It looks like you tried to look into doing the adjustments that is needed to make the clothes fit her really well. And as someone who knows how to make patterns and how to make adjustments for different types of body types, I know it's a specific skill. And actually, I think it's great that you admit that you don't have that skill. And when it comes to sewing for others, we need to choose projects that we are fully comfortable with. So as a quite slim person, I want to approach this with empathy, and I can sort of understand the upset that sister-in-law has, and there's probably a lot of past history there where she has experienced fat shaming. I think this commenter raised something really important. Her body type could mean that she got a sway back, knock knee, broad shoulders, etc. Literally anything that isn't the standard size, not just weight. That's very true. So a lot of people think when they look at me that I'm like OP, that I am lucky and I don't need to do a lot of adjustments to my sewing patterns. And that's not the case. I'm one size here on my bust, I'm another one in my waist, and a completely different size on my hips. So if you see in the video where I make the lander pants, you will know that I had to make quite a lot of adjustments to make those pants fit me properly. And I am really happy that I did, but it was a lot of work. And if you've never done it before, and if you're doing it for someone else, it's a lot to take on. I have a high waist and barely know how to adjust for me. I think what you said was honest and non-judgmental, but she took body type way wrong. Sewing for yourself is easy because you're familiar with working for your own body proportions in the syncrasis. This is a word I can't pronounce, so I'm giving up. Sewing for someone else involves a lot of math, measuring, mock-ups, etc. Not the a-hole. So there's an update and it says, thanks for the judgments everyone. I didn't go more into detail in our personal argument because of the word limit, but I did try to explaining things to her. I'll send her a video with an example how hard it is to do pattern adjustments to see if she understands what I'm saying. Appreciates the suggestions. I won't be sewing anything for her or anyone else, but maybe it inspire her to learn to sew. For those harping on me that I'm not a good sewist and not a good seamstress, that's not the entire point of this post. I'm not a seamstress, I have a hobby. Exactly. Just because you know how to sew, you have no obligation to sew for other people. Like I said earlier, if you're a brand, different story. You should know how to do this, but you're not, so you're not the a-hole. So I hope sending that video to her will educate her and start to understand why this isn't something you're willing to do. And it would be awesome if she wanted to learn how to sew, because we want more people to the sewing club. I think my husband has given me 4 more stories to react to, but I've been filming for quite some time at this point. So if you want me to react to more stories, Just let me know in a comment down below. And before we get into the last story, I have another request for you. So many of you really enjoyed my weird knits video, and ever since I posted that video almost 2 years ago now, I have planned to make a crazy crochet version. But I have struggled to find any crazy crochet patterns from the 1980s and the 1990s. So if you do know of any fun crochet patterns and books from these decades, let me know either in a comment down below or send me a DM on Instagram. I do not know if this lack of crazy crochet is like an aftermath of all the weirdness that went on with crochet in the 1960s and the 1970s, but I'm hoping we can find something from these decades. Am I the a-hole for using my girlfriend's sewing scissors for cutting pizza? You did what? Man, last night she put the pizza in the oven, and when the timer went off, I took it out. I yelled to the other room that the pizza was done, and she yelled back for me to cut it. The scissors were handy and the knives were dirty, so I thought, to heck, let's try it. Anyways, to the LDR. What is TDLR? Internet slang for too long, didn't read. Clearly I'm not up to date with internet slang. I don't want to use anything else to cut pizza with now, and she's mad at me even though I cleaned them. Yeah, I would be too if I was her. I think we can do a public service announcement here and just say that sewing scissors are do not touch objects. If you are not the owner of these scissors, do not touch them, and definitely do not cut pizza with them. Of all the things he could have cut, I'm just imagining myself cutting pizza with this. I don't even think the cutting experience would be that nice. Don't get me wrong, I do like to cut pizza with scissors, but like a pair of Fisker's kitchen scissors. My husband, if he used this to cut pizza, he knows he would not be here anymore. And anyone who is married or in a relationship with anyone that sews should know this rule, that if you do touch them, you're rude. I hope I made that clear. The vote is definitely the a-hole. So I'm looking through the comments and everyone is obviously voting him the a-hole. You're the a-hole. Realistically, your only route to a proper apology is to buy her a new pair, no matter what they cost. You basically did the equivalent of using an Xbox controller as a hammer, or trying to tow a livestock trailer with a little two-door coupe. Okay, I don't know the last reference, but I definitely do know the Xbox reference. I'm married to a gamer, someone who works in the video game industry, so yeah, the crime is that big. And even when you are planning to cut fabric, you need to ask for permission. You're the a-hole, though I don't think you intended to be, but be aware that you may have ruined your sewing shears. Sewing shears are to a seamstress what a chef's knives are to a chef. They are an important tool and must be properly maintained and sharpened periodically. Very true. They're not to be used on non-fabric materials like paper, and definitely not on food. Couldn't say it better myself. If you want to make it up to your girlfriend, take your shears to either a knife store or sewing supply store that can sharpen them and have them cleaned and restored. Yeah, that's the minimum you can do. That or get her a new pair. So one advice I would give to people that have a family, especially if you have kids, is to have your really good fabric shears in like a locked drawer, and then have another pair of fabric scissors that the rest of the family is allowed to use. And of course that is only for fabric as well, because scissors are expensive. And I hope if you're not a sewist watching this, that you have a very clear memo to respect a sewist's fabric shears. I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did, and until next time, bye!